Testing, mic check. Cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns. Hello, friendos. My name is Nez, and today we are once again back at it again for some more Arknights. But this will be not a normal stream. We're not going to be playing the game. We're going to be talking about something that happened within the boundaries of Arknights CN. Within the boundaries of politics. We're gonna be looking into a lot of sensitive subject matter today. So I spent the last day just gathering the resources so that we could have a proper look at the context of everything that seemed to have happened in the past 24 hours? Not really 24 hours. This is gonna go a wee bit back. But there's that. So I think that's the best way to segue it into, because recently on CN, we had a little surprise announcement from Hypergryph, which is a little blurb that Elysium, fan favorite character Elysium, one of our flag bearer vanguards, his voice actor, Showtaro Morikubo, was going to be promptly removed from the CN version of the game. And presumably he's also going to get removed from global, because that's usually how things works. Now, this is not the first time a voice actor has actually been removed from Arknights. We're gonna be looking into a previous event that happened prior to this. Also, hello creature, welcome back. The reason why we have sub mode only for 10 minutes on right now is just to be on the safe side, because we're gonna be talking about a lot of sensitive subject matter today, and on the off chance that we get brigaded and people try to derail the conversation, that's why I have sub mode on for now. That's it, just to be safe. Welcome, creature. So with that said, let's set the scene. So Elysium is a fan favorite character in Arknights. He's one of our flag bearers, which is one of the best archetypes in the game. They can make the most DP out of any of the other vanguards, and because of Elysium's characterization and personality, he's also become one of our fan favorite characters. People like to create fan fiction with him involving Thorns, with Weedy, with some of the other Aegirians. There's also fan fiction with him involving Myrtle. He's just a very charismatic character that a lot of people have fallen in love with. Hello, Otteran. So, Elysium, fan favorite character, was voiced by Showtaro Morikubo. For those that don't know Showtaro Morikubo, he's actually a very prolific voice actor in the seiyuu industry. Let's just pull up some of his credits. Hello, doggo. So, we're gonna be doing a bit of reading today, not a lot of gameplay. I know reading may be scary for a gacha gamer considering that we can't read, but please bear with me, I'm gonna be doing the one reading. So, at least there's that. So I'm gonna try to move the window capture so we could get my resources up and running. There we go. For those unfamiliar with Showtaro Morikubo, he is a prolific voice actor. His birthday was actually just a few weeks ago. Belated happy birthday to my mans. You may recognize him from his roles as Shikamaru from Naruto. Hold up, wait. My cursor is not displaying. What's up with that? Shikamaru from Naruto. Soji from Haruki. Goro from Major. Our boy Yosuke from Persona 4. Okay, something's wrong with my cursor. It's not showing. Why is it showing? Display mode. Fine. Display. It's not showing like cursor either. Fine. Here we go. Hold up. This is weird. Never mind. Anyway, whatever. Kyohei, the Wallflower. Our boy Bart from One Piece. Yosuke from Yowamushi Pedal. Zangetsu from Bleach. Ginji from Get Backers. I love Get Backers back in the day. Ginji kinda carried that series. Hamryo from Rave Master. Orphan from Sorceress Saber Orphan. Kisaki from Tokyo Revengers, our boy Elysium from Arknights, Canis from Fire Emblem, Kadaj from FF7 Advent, and Shin from Diabolic Lovers. These are just a few of the roles that he's had over the years. He's a very prolific voice actor within the Seiyu industry. But something seems to have happened very recently that has caused Hypergryph to want to distance themselves from Mr. Showtaro Morikubo. What happened? Because in China, in the Chinese client of Arknights, they are planning to remove the Japanese voice acting of Mr. Morikubo from the game, with no announcement whatsoever to why. So we're gonna take a look at the surrounding story regarding these events. This is also going to be tangentially related to the Genshin community. So there's that. Let's just transition over to our other resources, by the way. How do I transition? We're doing this live, so just bear with it for a moment. So there's that. Showtaro, Mr. Prolific, voiced a lot of our favorite characters. A lot of the smooth talking sly type characters that we've seen in many series. Yosuke. I liked Yosuke in Persona 4. Okay, so here we go. So here we have an article from The Gamer. Let's just hold up. Let's zoom. Oh, that's not zooming in. Zoom in a bit so we could have better reading. Fans think Genshin Impact voice actor was fired for promoting pro-Uyghur book. This is an article written by Jack Coleman. It was published 3 days ago. So the summary. Mihoyo replaced Ifa's Japanese voice actor due to quote-unquote various circumstances. Fans suspect Showtaro Morikubo's sudden removal may be politically motivated. Morikubo's participation in the live reading of a book about the Uyghur genocide may have played a part in his removal, according to fans. Mihoyo, the Chinese developer of Genshin Impact, has released an official statement which asserts that the Japanese voice actor for the upcoming character Ifa has been replaced due to various circumstances. Showtaro Morikubo was originally announced as a Japanese voice actor for Ifa before his sudden removal shocked fans. Morikubo is a prolific voice actor, active in anime, audiobooks, video games, and more since the mid-90s. A couple of his recent notable roles include Goma from Dragon Ball Daima and Lucas from Rune Factory 5. Ifa doesn't currently have a release date, but regardless of whether the character releases, Morikubo will no longer voice him. Genocide and Gacha. While Morikubo has yet to have given a statement on his removal, fans have already begun speculating that the entire affair may be politically motivated. In August 2024, Morikubo participated in a live reading of Inochigake no Shougen, Life-Threatening Testimonies, a book by Japanese author Tomomi Shimizu. Inochigake no Shougen is a book about the Chinese government's treatment of Uyghurs, an ethnic group primarily found in the Chinese autonomous region of Xinjiang. The book contains testimonies from persecuted Uyghurs, with Shimizu labeling the Chinese government's actions as genocidal. Amnesty International describes the human rights abuses in Xinjiang as crimes against humanity, and states that the Uyghurs are subjected to mass internment, torture, systematized mass surveillance. The non-governmental organization describes Xinjiang as a dystopian hellscape. Morikubo's removal is still only a matter of speculation. In fact, Morikubo participated in live reading 2 months before he was even cast as Ifa. It's unknown if perhaps Mihoyo caught wind of this event later and decided to remove Morikubo as a result, or if the two situations are completely unrelated. If Morikubo doesn't give his own statement, we may never know the exact reason for his removal. And then some shit about Genshin Impact no one cares about. Cian got informed later? Yes. This happened first for Genshin Impact, and then Hypergryph moved and removed Morikubo from Arknights. There's no official confirmation from any side to why. The only explanation that Mihoyo has given out is various circumstances. That's it. So let's look at another article by Siliconera. Did I bring it up? Here we go. Siliconera. Published by Stephanie Liu. Showtaro Morikubo recast as Elysium in Arknights. The official Twitter account for Arknights has announced that Showtaro Morikubo will be removed from his role as Elysium for various reasons. Seems to be that Hypergryph also has the same reasoning as Mihoyo. Hypergryph has not yet stated whether the replacement actor will revoice all of Elysium's previous voice lines. Prior to the official announcement, the March 14, 2025 patch notes on the Chinese version's Weibo account had hinted at Morikubo's departure. One of the new fixes included the deletion of certain voice resources. At the time, the patch notes did not state which character this would affect. However, many replies to the Weibo post and Twitter guessed that Hypergryph would remove Morikubo. This is because of another recent incident regarding him and a Chinese game company, which is Mihoyo. On March 12, 2025, the official Genshin Impact Twitter account announced that it would remove Showtaro Morikubo from his role as Ifa. Like with the Arknights post, it did not state the reason behind this decision. However, many fans have speculated that it's due to his appearance in the reading of Inochigake no Shougen, which may have caught the Chinese government's attention and in turn put pressure on companies like Hoyoverse and Hypergryph. Inochigake no Shougen, based on the book of the same name, highlights the Chinese government's persecution of the Uyghur ethnic group. This is not the first time that Chinese game companies removed the Japanese voice actor for political reasons. In July 2021, Ai Kayano was recast from her roles in Azure Lane and Arknights after she visited Yasukuni Shrine. The shrine is controversial, as it enshrines war criminals from World War II, and visits to it tend to draw negative attention from both Chinese and Korean netizens. Arknights is readily available. Wow, marketing. But as of March 14, 2025, Showtaro Morikubo is no longer voicing Elysium in Arknights, at least for the Chinese client for now. So, that's a surrounding situation between what's going on with Elysium's voice actor. Soon, he's gonna be removed from CN, and then presumably, he's gonna be removed from the global client of Arknights. Now, why though? So, the whole speculation is that this was politically motivated. Mr. Showtaro Morikubo was going to do live readings, was scheduled for live readings of, I'll just bring it up. Was scheduled to do live readings of Inochigake no Shougen, life-threatening testimonies. It is a book by Tomomi Shimizu, and Tomomi Shimizu is a prolific author who adapts the testimonies of Uyghur Muslims and refugees into manga. And then this seems to be her recent book, which she would have a live reading of, done by Mr. Showtaro Morikubo. It was done last August, as we can see from the schedules here. I think it only happened now that we got the full backlash because of IFA. If the IFA backlash didn't happen, then the Arknights backlash would have stayed under the radar. Unfortunately, people made a fuss about it. So Mr. Morikubo, due to his political actions, seems to have been removed from Arknights as a whole. Hypergryph wants to distance themselves from Showtaro Morikubo for political statements he seems to have made. This is all just speculation though, no one has confirmed any of this. But it begs a question though, guys. Friendos, wait a minute. Now, the Chinese government alleges that there are no human rights violations happening in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. There's none of that happening. There are no human rights abuses going on there. That is presumably the official. That is what I presume to be the official stance of the Chinese government. Because why wouldn't it be? Anyone gonna admit that they're doing war crimes or genocide? I don't think so. But allegedly, none of this shit is really happening. But let's entertain the hypothetical, guys. Let's entertain the hypothetical that there really are human rights abuses and ethnic cleansing and a genocide of ethnic Muslim people in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. That is the official name, by the way. Let's entertain that hypothetical. If it were true that those things were happening, why would Hypergryph makers of hit game Discrimination and Oppression is Bad want to distance themselves from one of their talents whose political statement is discrimination and oppression is bad. Huh. I mean, allegedly it's not even happening, right? Allegedly, it's not even happening. Is it because it's happening in China? Oh, wait. Oh. Allegedly, of course. So there's that. That's the whole situation behind why Elysium, Showtaro Morikubo may have been removed from Arknights as a whole. Because Hypergryph is a Chinese company operating within Chinese boundaries that they don't even want to be tangentially related to anyone criticizing whatever's allegedly happening in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. But it can't just end there, right? It can't just end there. I mean, we're just scratching the surface. So, let's take a look at the other books that Miss Tomomi Shimizu has written about the alleged testimonies of Uyghur Muslims within the Uyghur Autonomous Region, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. So Miss Shimizu has written quite a few books prior to Inochigake no Shougen. She's, from what I've read of her, she recently got into political activism after meeting Uyghur refugees that came to live in Japan, and that's what inspired her to start adapting their testimonies into manga. So she listens to their testimonies and adapts them into consumable manga books that can be read for public consumption. It is one way of political activism that she has. Now, Mr. Morikubo seems to be supportive of her activism, which is why we had him promote her latest book, which is Inochigake no Shougen, Testimonies of Life-Threatening Testimonies, back in August 2024. A few of her other previous books are right here. You could read them. You could add them to your Goodreads if you want to. So she has a few other books. Her previous book was What Happened to Me, a Testimony of an Uyghur Woman. This is an adaptation of the real-life testimony of Mihrigul Tursun, who testified in U.S. court about her alleged treatment, within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. So I just think that we should probably scratch a bit deeper down this rabbit hole, right, guys? If we're just casually and curiously looking around the situation of why Elysium's voice actor got kicked out of the game, there shouldn't be any harm into seeing why he got kicked out, right? So what I want to bring up today are a few resources that'll help us get to know what may be allegedly happening within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. So I'm gonna be turning down the volume because I don't think it would be respectful to have Hypergryph music over this testimony. But we're gonna be playing the full testimony of Mihrigul Tursun, who gave her testimony in the U.S. court. This is what Tomomi Shimizu adapted for one of her previous books. Tomomi Shimizu being the writer that got Showtaro Morikubo in hot water for promoting her current book.
My name is Mihrigul Tursun and I am 29 years old. I am Uyghur. Over the last 3 years, I was taken to China's government detention centers 3 times. I spent a total of 10 months in the camps. In May 2015, I returned to China from Egypt, where I studied English. I was arrested at the airport and my 2-month-old triplets were taken away. The officers handcuffed me, put a dark sack over my head, and took me to a detention center. After 3 months, they told me that I could be with my sick children until their health improved, and released me. My oldest son had died in their hands. In April 2017, I was taken to a detention center for the second time. I was interrogated for 4 days and nights without sleep. After being in the camp for 3 months, I kept having seizures and losing consciousness. I was finally released to a mental hospital. From there, my father took me home and I gradually recovered. In January 2018, I was detained for the third time. They put chains on my wrists and ankles, put a black sack over my head, and took me to a hospital. I was stripped naked and put under a big computerized machine. Then I was dressed in a blue uniform with yellow vest, worn by serious criminals, and taken to a camp. Now I would like to tell you about what I experienced in these camps. I was taken to a cell, which was built underground with no windows. There were cameras on all 4 sides so the officials could see every corner of the room. There were around 60 people in one of the cells where I was held. At night, 15 women would stand up while the rest of us would sleep sideways. And then we would rotate every 2 hours. Some people had not taken a shower in over a year. Before we ate breakfast, which was water with very little rice, we had to sing songs hailing the Communist Party. We had to repeat in Chinese, in quote, "Long live Xi Jinping," and in quote, "Lenience for those who repent and a punishment for those who resist." Anyone who could not memorize a book of slogans and rules within 14 days would be denied food or beaten. Sometimes there was no food all day, and when there was food, it was mostly a steamed bun. They forced us to take unknown pills and drink some kind of white liquid. The pill caused us to lose consciousness and reduced our cognition level. The white liquid caused loss of menstruation in some women and extreme bleeding in others, and even death. I also experienced torture in a tiger chair, the second time I was detained. I was taken to a special room and placed in a high chair. Bands held my arms and legs in place and tightened when they pressed a button. The guards put a helmet on my shaved head. Each time I was electrocuted, my whole body would shake violently and I could feel the pain in my veins. I thought I would rather die than go through this torture. I begged them to kill me. They insulted me with humiliating words and pressured me to admit my guilt. They told me my mother and son had died. My father was serving life in prison, and that my family was torn apart because of me. In another cell where I was held, there were 40 women, aged between 17 and 62. When I left the cell after about 3 months, there were 68. Most of them were educated professionals such as teachers and doctors. I witnessed 9 deaths in my cell in 3 months. I cannot imagine how many deaths there must be in all the camps. In the camps, I met a 23-year-old woman named Patam Khan. Her crime was attending a wedding in 2014 that was held according to Islamic traditions, where people did not dance, sing, or drink alcohol. She said 400 people who attended that wedding were all taken to the camps. When she was taken, she had left her 2 kids in the field. She agonized every day about where her children were. One night, she suddenly dropped to the floor and stopped breathing. Several people with masks came and dragged her away. After more than 3 months in the camp, I came out and was again able to see my kids. Thanks to the help of many wonderful people, I was able to come to the United States. Words cannot describe how joyful I felt when I landed in Virginia 2 months ago. But I'm not completely free from my traumatic experience. And I fear that the Chinese government is still monitoring me. My brother recently left a voicemail on my cell phone. He said, in quote, "How could you do this to your parents? What kind of daughter are you? You should go to the Chinese embassy right away and denounce all the things you said about the Chinese government in the interviews you gave to the Radio Free Asia. And tell them you love China. Tell them you were pressured by the Uyghur organizations in the US to lie about your detention and the torture in the camps. And take back everything you said. Otherwise, China can get you wherever you hide. I'm trying to start a new life in America, go to school and take care of my son and daughter. But now I'm terrified that the Chinese government could still threaten me from so far away. Please protect the Uyghurs in America from the Chinese government's threats. Please help Uyghur refugees around the world who will be taken to the camps if they are forced to return to China. Please take action to save the people who are being tortured right now. I hope the US government will take a strong action against the officials responsible for torturing me, and the death of my little boy, and the death of so many innocent Uyghur people. My people look to the United States as a beacon of hope. It is the only country that can tell China to stop its ethnic cleansing of the Uyghur people. I still remember the words of the officers when I asked what my crime was. They said, in quote, "Being a Uyghur is a crime." Distinguished Congressman, and if you ever go to China, please ask where my mother, father, and siblings are. Thank you.
So that was just the full testimony of Mihrigul Tursun, who allegedly was done dirty within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. It's even kind of gross saying it like that. That was just one of the testimonies that writer Tomomi Shimizu has adapted for her books. Even in her newest book, Inochigake no Shougen, the very manga image that she used to represent Tursun is still used on the cover of her latest book. So, allegedly, of course, if it really happened, if these human rights abuses really happened, they would be bad, right? Allegedly. Because the Chinese government presumably denies all of these claims. This is why Showtaro Morikubo got into hot water for supporting the idea that there may be human rights abuses and an ethnic cleansing and genocide happening to Muslim populations within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. But that's just one testimony. So let's just take a look at what Amnesty International, human rights watchdog Amnesty International, has to report about what's happening in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Hold up. Why is it like this? Whoa, why did it hang? Okay, there we go. So, let's read the report of Amnesty International, international watchdog. June 10th, 2021. China. Draconian repression of Muslims in Xinjiang amounts to crimes against humanity. Allegedly. The word allegedly is gonna be doing a lot of heavy lifting today, guys, because these are all just allegations to China. We're not here, remember guys, we're not here to confirm or deny the veracity of any human rights abuses happening in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in China. We're not here to confirm or deny anything that Showtaro Morikubo has said or supported. We're just here to take a look at what he supported. Right, guys? We're just here to dig deeper down this iceberg. Hundreds of thousands of... Hold up, wait. Let's make this bigger so it'll look better in the video. Hundreds of thousands of Muslim minority men and women subjected to mass internment and torture. Millions of Muslims subjected to systematized mass surveillance. Muslim ethnic groups forced to abandon their religious traditions, cultural practices, and local languages. More than 50 former camp detainees give their harrowing new testimonies with detailed inside look at internment conditions and treatment. Amnesty International campaign calls for closure of internment camps with over 60 detailed case files on those thought to be currently detained. Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and predominantly Muslim ethnic minorities in China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region face systematic state-organized mass imprisonment, torture, and persecution amounting to crimes against humanity. Amnesty International said as it launched a new report and campaign today. In a 160-page report, like we were enemies in a war, China's mass internment, torture, and persecution of Muslims in Xinjiang. We're not going to be reading that article today. I'm going to leave all the resources that we go through today in the comments if you want to go through that yourself. I've already... I spent the last day actually reading the 160-page report. But we're not going to go through it today. Because I know how much Arknights players do not like reading. We're just here to look at... scratch a bit deeper. If you want to go on your own rabbit hole, there's nothing illegal about that. Amnesty International's crisis response team released dozens of new testimonies from former detainees detailing the extreme measures taken by China's authorities since 2017 to essentially root out the religious traditions, cultural practices, and local languages of the region's Muslim ethnic groups. In other words, ethnic cleansing. Carried out under the guise of fighting terrorism, these crimes have targeted ethnic Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Hui, Kyrgyz, Uzbeks, and Tajiks. Chinese authorities have built one of the most sophisticated surveillance systems in a vast network of hundreds of grim transformation through education centers, which are actually internment camps throughout Xinjiang. Torture and other ill treatment is systematic in the camps, and every aspect of daily life is regimented in an effort to forcibly instill a secular, homogeneous Chinese nation and Communist Party ideals. The Chinese authorities have created a dystopian hellscape on a staggering scale in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, said Agnes Calamard, Amnesty International Secretary General. The Chinese authorities have created a dystopian hellscape on a staggering scale, same quote. Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other Muslim minorities face crimes against humanity and other serious human rights violations that threaten to erase their religious and cultural identities. It should shock the conscience of humanity that massive numbers of people have been subjected to brainwashing, torture, and other degrading treatment in internment camps, while millions more live in fear amid a vast surveillance apparatus. Allegedly. And a lot of heavy lifting. Mass imprisonment. The reports show, since 2017, huge numbers of men and women from predominantly Muslim ethnic minorities in Xinjiang have been arbitrarily detained. They include hundreds of thousands who have been sent to prisons, in addition to hundreds of thousands, perhaps even 1 million more, who have been sent to internment camps. All of the more than 50 former detainees Amnesty International interviewed were detained for what appears to be entirely lawful conduct, such as possessing a religious-themed picture or communicating with someone abroad. A government cadre who participated in the mass arrest in late 2017 told the organization how police took people from their homes without warning and detained them without any due process. Most survivors who spoke to Amnesty International were first interrogated at police stations, where they had their biometric and medical data recorded before being transferred to a camp. They were often interrogated in tiger chairs, steel chairs with affixed leg irons and handcuffs that restrain the body in painful positions. Beatings, sleep deprivation, and overcrowding are rampant in the police stations, and detainees reported being hooded and shackled during their interrogation and transfer. That's an artist's depiction. From the moment they entered the prison-like internment camps, detainees' lives were extraordinarily regimented. They had no privacy or autonomy, and they faced harsh punishments, sometimes collectively with their cellmates, for trivial disobedience. Internees were forbidden to speak freely to each other, and thus were severely punished when they responded to prison guards or other officials in their native tongues instead of Mandarin. Every activity in the detainees' daily routines were preordained, and their behavior was constantly monitored and evaluated. One woman who was detained for having WhatsApp on her phone said, "Every day you get up at 5 a.m. and have to make your bed, and it had to be perfect. Then there was a flag-raising ceremony and an oath-taking. Then you went to the canteen for breakfast, then to the classroom, then lunch, then to the classroom, then dinner, then another class, then bed. Every night, 2 people had to be on duty, monitoring the other cellmates for 2 hours. There was not a minute left to yourself. You are exhausted." In the early weeks or months of internment, detainees are typically forced to either sit still or kneel in the same position in their cell. In complete silence for most of their waking hours, following this, they generally undergo forced education, where they are indoctrinated to disavow Islam, forgo using their language and other cultural practices, and study Mandarin Chinese language and Chinese Communist Party propaganda. Other than being escorted under armed guard to and from canteens, classes, or interrogation, detainees practically never leave their cells and rarely see sunlight or have outdoor access or exercise. Systematic torture. After former detainee Amnesty International interviewed suffered torture or other ill treatment. This included the cumulative psychological effect of their daily dehumanization, as well as physical torture in the form of beatings, electric shocks, solitary confinement, deprivation of food and water and sleep, exposure to extreme cold, and abusive use of restraints, including torture tools like tiger chairs. Some reported being restrained in a tiger chair for more than 24 hours. This is a tiger chair. An older woman who was punished for defending her cellmates said that she was taken to a small, dark, cold, and windowless room where she had her hands and feet cuffed and was forced to sit on an iron chair for 3 days straight. 2 former detainees said that they had been forced to wear heavy shackles. In one case for an entire year, others described being shocked with electric batons or sprayed with pepper spray. Some detainees reported being tortured multiple times, while others were forced to watch their cellmates being tortured. Amnesty International learned of one case where detainees believed to have died as a result of being restrained in a tiger chair in front of his cellmates for 72 hours, during which time he urinated and defecated himself. Surveillance state. Both inside and outside the camps, Xinjiang's Muslims are among the most heavily surveilled populations in the world. For at least several months after being released from a camp, all former internees are under near constant electronic and in-person surveillance, including invasive homestays by government cadres who monitor them and report suspicious behavior. This could be peaceful religious practices though, the use of unauthorized communication software like VPNs or WhatsApp, or purchasing an unusual amount of fuel or electricity. Freedom of movement for released internees is also heavily restricted, with a massive number of security forces patrolling the streets and operating thousands of checkpoints, euphemistically known as convenience police stations. Well, how about that? We have convenience stores, and now there are convenience police stations, guys! Just for their convenience. Allegedly, of course. If these allegedly exist according to the Chinese government. Religious persecution. Muslims are not free to practice their religion in Xinjiang. Dozens of Muslim men and women told Amnesty International the regional Chinese authorities showed extraordinary hostility towards their Islamic faith. basic religious and cultural practices have been deemed extremist and used as grounds for detention. As a result, most people have stopped praying or showing any outward signs of observing Islam. This extends to dress, grooming, or even speech. We couldn't even say as Salamu Alaikum, a typical greeting in many Islamic cultures meaning peace be upon you, anymore. Couldn't say that anymore. One man told Amnesty International. Qurans, prayer mats, and other religious artifacts have also been effectively banned. Former Chinese government cadres told Amnesty International how they barged into people's homes to confiscate religious items. We told them to remove photos of mosques and put up Chinese flags, one said. Those interviewed by Amnesty International described how mosques, shrines, grave sites, and other religious and cultural sites have been systematically demolished or repurposed throughout Xinjiang. Massive cover-up. Oh, this is just an artist's depiction of replacing cultural artifacts and imagery within people's homes with a picture with a flag. The flag of the Chinese government and the picture of Xi Jinping, allegedly, of course. Presuming that this is just a hypothetical, guys. This is all just a hypothetical, of course. You're not gonna catch me slipping, Hypergryph. Massive cover-up. The Chinese government has gone to extraordinary lengths to cover up its violations of international human rights law in Xinjiang. Authorities threaten and detain and mistreat anyone who speaks out. No comment. The fates of hundreds of thousands of detainees is not known. Many may remain in detention in the camps. Others have been given long prison sentences. Chinese state data shows significant increase in prison sentences, and satellite imagery shows significant new prison construction in Xinjiang since 2017. Others have been transferred to situations or forced coerced labor. China must immediately dismantle the internment camps, release the people arbitrarily detained in them and in prisons, and end the systematic attacks against Muslims in Xinjiang, said Agnes Calamard. The international community must speak out and act in unison to end this abomination once and for all. The UN must establish and urgently dispatch an independent investigative mechanism with a view to bringing those suspected of responsibility for crimes under international law to account. This is just one report from Amnesty International about what is allegedly happening within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. If you guys want to dig deeper, there's a 160-page report, which I will leave in the comments down below. But allegedly, this is just Western propaganda, guys. This is just a hypothetical. If it really isn't happening, there shouldn't be a problem with one of Hypergryph's talents. One of Hypergryph, makers of hit game Oppression and Discrimination is Bad. Why would they distance themselves from one of their talents, going, hey, wait a minute, oppression and discrimination is bad? There's kind of a disconnect there. So, that's just a little digging deep down into the iceberg of why Showtaro Morikubo may or may not have been removed from both Arknights and Genshin Impact. The official statement has just been he has been removed for various circumstances. The speculation, once again, being that he did live reading of Tomomi Shimizu's Inochigake no Shougen, life-threatening testimonies of Uyghur Muslims and refugees that have fled China. Now, entertaining the hypothetical, if there were human rights abuses happening in China, and Morikubo is on the righteous side of supporting, hey, discrimination and oppression is bad, I don't think Hypergryph should have pulled the shock Pikachu and acted surprised that hit video game oppression and discrimination is bad would have people orbiting around it that would echo those same sentiments. I don't know. But maybe it's because, you know, Hypergryph is a Chinese company. They have to play it safe to make sure that they can fly under the radar just enough so that their own writing can fly under the radar. Because as we've seen within Arknights isn't exactly the most, let's say, anti-woke game. Within the writing of Arknights is very progressive values, where the main stance of Rhodes Island, Amiya, is that oppression and discrimination is bad. So, look, Hypergryph, I'm not saying you're hypocrites. This is only a hypothetical, of course. It's just a hypothetical. If on the hypothetical chance that there were human rights abuses happening in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China, and you wanted to distance yourself from Showtaro Morikubo, who said that discrimination and oppression is bad, hypothetically, that would make Hypergryph hypocrites. That would make Lowlight a hypocrite. Because as we've seen from the writing of this game, that they take a very humanistic approach to their view of human rights in Arknights. There's no denying that. Unless you're media literate, don't know how to read, have never actually paid attention to what's being said in the game, Arknights is a very progressive video game in terms of its story. Now, two things can also be true at the same time. The writers of Arknights and the themes and values that they put into the game may be progressive, but at the end of the day, Arknights is a product. Not just any product. Arknights is a gacha gambling game that makes a majority of its money through the gambling addictions of its target demographic. It makes the most of its money from whales who develop gambling addictions to JPEG, waifus, and husbandos. So at a baseline, this is just my personal opinion. My personal opinion is anyone who works in the management side of gacha gambling games, I work at a baseline that they're bad people. Like if you profit off of the suffering of people, creating gambling addictions out of people, I just generally think you might be a bad person. That includes Lowlight. It doesn't matter how parasocial we get about Lowlight, no matter how much he gets in front of the camera and tries to air the image that he's one of us. He's one of us weebs. He's an artist. He went to art school. Arknights is his baby. Arknights is his child. His life's work. He's an artiste. He's one of us. He's also the head of a massive multi-million-dollar earning gambling game. So at the offset, I definitely think Lowlight might be a bad person at a minimum. The only people I think who work on Arknights that have the plausible deniability of not being bad people are the creatives. The writers, the artists, the voice acting talents, and certainly maybe Mr. Showtaro Morikubo. They're the only ones I could truly say have the plausible deniability that they're not bad people. They may be good people from what we've seen of them. From what we've seen from the writers and the kinds of politics and ethics and morals they want to instill in us from the writing of Arknights, or from outside political activism that Showtaro Morikubo has certainly shown us. Then again, there's also Platinum's voice actress who visited the war shrine, the war criminal shrine. So that's why I said plausible deniability. But this is just all speculation, guys. This is just speculation. We don't know. We're not here to confirm or deny the veracity of any genocide and ethnic cleansing of Muslims in the Uyghur Autonomous Region, in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. We're not here to confirm or deny any of that. We're just here to entertain the hypothetical. Entertain the hypothetical that, if it did happen, Hypergryph would be a huge hypocrite for making Arknights the way it is and being surprised that one of its voice actors reflected Rhodes Island values. I don't know, man. I don't know. So there's that. I was kind of nervous about doing this stream today. It was going to be a politically charged stream. I rarely do this because, not gonna lie, it gets, this is gonna get a lot of hate if it leaves our circle. Every time I get political about Arknights, I always get inundated by comments saying, "Why are you making my waifu and husbando game political?" Me? I'm the one making this waifu and husbando game political? Are you literate? Did you read the story? Do you think this is just about sexy waifus and husbandos? It is also about that. But did you read the story? Do you know the values of Rhodes Island? Do you know what the Sarkas have gone through? Do you know what the infected go through? The Terrans go through? Are we just supposed to leave it as fiction? Where this is just fiction. This is just fiction, guys. It's bad when fictional characters get systematically oppressed and ethnically cleansed and pogromed and genocided. It's bad when it's in fiction, but in real life, oh, you're putting politics in my Arknights. You're making Arknights political. I don't know, guys. Maybe some people are just media illiterate. Some people are just being malicious and obtuse on purpose. But I think that's all we have to say today. We just took a little look at what happened with Mr. Showtaro Morikubo. And I think we should commemorate. I think regardless of whether or not the alleged human rights violations are happening in China, well, I think it is an objective loss that a talented voice actor such as Showtaro Morikubo is leaving the game. So, as an objective stance, let's try to give our mans a farewell. Let's look at his voice lines.
仕事があれば何でも言ってね。こう見えて女子の経験は豊富でさ。この発信機があれば信号を相当な距離まで飛ばせるから、招待間で連絡を取り合う有力な手段になるんだ。さらに僕のアーツで信号を強めれば、もう誰にも止められない。戦場通信、まさに僕のために用意された役割だよね。迷子？大丈夫。僕に任せて。この場所へ行くにはまず左の階段で4階に上がり、右に直進して3つ目の分かれ道を過ぎたら左に曲がり、1つ下の階に降りて左に直進したところの工藤茶さんの第3エンジニアルームの向かい側がそうだ。どう？分かりやすいでしょ？
If anything, Showtaro Morikubo is a talented yapper.
ソーンズと話したよ。次はお互い情けはかけず、必ず決着をつけるとね。今度こそ彼を跡形もなく。え？ロドスで死闘は禁止？いやいや、誤解しないで。今のはチェスの話だよ。ねえ、負けた方は坊主頭にするなんて賭けはどう？僕だって人の助手をするのは慣れないけど、うちの隊長は僕の力がないと命令をみんなに伝えられないから、僕はタイに残って彼女の面倒を見てあげるしかないんだ。あ、ここだけの話にしてね。僕たちの将来のためにも絶対彼女に知られちゃダメだよ。いいね。
Morikubo has a way with his acting where I feel like he was born to play the most punchable character alive. It's like he has a talent for voicing the most punchable characters in anime and anime adjacent media. I mean, he's got that sly sounding tone, but also with that charming hook, but also with that playful intonation.
戦場通信の重要性は語るまでもないな。敵に狙われやすいのも当然でしょう。けどまあ安心して、僕がいればドクターの指令を無事仲間たち全員に届けてみせるさ。ドクター、ちょうどいいところに。実はちょっと悩んでて、みんな僕に道を聞くより地図に頼ろうとするのはなんでだと思う？前に隊長は僕がペラペラと上調子で喋るのが気に食わないと言ってたし、どうしてそんな風に思われるんだろう。みんなには優しくしてるはずなのにな。
Reality takes after art. Showtaro Morikubo. Clearly nothing but passionate towards everyone.
戦場での指揮はとても大切なんだ。この旗を見て。先鋒として掲げることでみんなに勇気を。待ってドクター、まさか信じてくれた？冗談だよ。これはただの発信装置なんだから。ドクターは信頼していいと決めたんだ。お世辞じゃないよ。僕は人を見る目には自信があるから。君のことを戦友と呼ぶってのはどう？隊長も僕と最初は水と油の中だったけど、彼女と同じように戦友も僕の誠実さに心動かされると思うよ。そんなことない？隊長は今でも僕についてクレームをよこしてる？
The big question is whose JPVA will be in charge of playing the role of Elysium now? I low-key hope that they never recast Elysium. I hope that he becomes one of the only characters that has no Japanese voice actor. And that would lead to questions. And that would lead to people going down the rabbit hole. The same rabbit hole that we went down today.
ドクター、このファイルなんだけど。あれ？眠ってしまったのか。僕がいるからってそんな無防備だと困るな。第三作戦小隊所属先方通信員のエリジウム、ただいま着任したよ。通信機越しじゃなくて直接話せたのは初めてだよね、ドクター。内部の作戦記録で自分の戦う様子を目にするなんてなんか不思議だよね。感謝するよ。けどさ、もう一度昇進したらもしかして僕の役職は隊長を超えてしまう感じ？僕は自分の判断にいつも自信を持ってるよ、ドクター。君の命令だと言うなら僕はそれを疑ったりしない。戦友とはそういうものでしょ。もちろん喜んで。安心して。あくまで一時的な代役だから。隊長がいない間だけのね。ヘッドセットのチェックは済んだ？問題ないよ。信号は安定。いつでも行けるよ。相手のターゲットは誰かな？主の名を掲げ、この旗の元へ集え。こんなセリフを一度言ってみたかったんだ。いや悪いね、僕は別に信徒じゃないよ。誰が戦場で旗を武器にするんだよ。これで分かったでしょ。即戦即決。僕たちがいいパートナーになるって改めて証明されたね。いい連携だったね。ハイタッチしようか。戦意を失った者はもう敵じゃない。ここまでにしよう。このままじゃ危険だ。最後の防衛戦は僕が守るから、ドクターは早く撤退命令を。へえ、この部屋はリフォームでもしたのかな。なになに？僕の髪のこの赤いところ全て抜けてしまえばもう生えてこないんだって。由々しき問題だよ、ドクター。アークナイツ、今日は何か任務ある？
And for our final voice line, we have a farewell from Mr. Showtaro Morikubo, who is taking stage left and unfortunately leaving the Arknights community behind.
それじゃあ出発しようか。みんな、僕のルートに沿って行動してね。
God damn, that was poetic. I mean, should we follow the route he drafted? Showtaro Morikubo led us down the rabbit hole today of what is allegedly happening within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in China. So anyway, I think that'll be that for today. No gameplay, no fun. We just took a little look around at the context and speculated to why Elysium's voice actor Showtaro Morikubo was removed from Arknights. As someone who knows how prisons and such work and how torture device stuff works due to morbid curiosity, the writer could have done better conveying stuff. Look, man. It was one article. There's another 160-page article that we could dig deeper, but I don't want to go into that today. That was just the headline. Let's not backseat a human rights organization of how they want to word their reporting on alleged human rights abuses happening in China. I don't want to backseat people, especially when they seem to be more knowledgeable of the field than we are. That's that. Anyway, those looking at under the scope of logic alone would be able to slide that paper in such a side as false info. Explain, creature. Logic. Explain. Hold up. Explain, creature. How would someone find that false info aside from just saying that's false? It's a thought-terminating cliche. By saying a human rights report by a credible human rights watchdog is false under what premises? You're operating on a thought-terminating cliche. You can't just say through logic alone you could say that it's false. We're not here to debate whether or not. The premise of your argument means whether or not we could actually find the reporting credible. You explain why it's not credible. Go ahead, creature. Use your logic. I'm waiting. You're on my side? You're saying others could? Well, yeah. That's what the Chinese government is saying. Is that you could use a thought-terminating cliche in that you could discredit anything through logic alone. That's a thought-terminating cliche. Why not have a conversation about it? Don't worry, creature. I'm keeping the stream up just for you.
Doctor, このファイルなんだけど。あれ？眠ってしまったのか。僕がいるからってそんな無防備だと困るな。
The coffee's cold. I'm gonna give it like another minute. Look, man. China can discredit any international reporting on whatever's allegedly happening within the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region all they like, through whatever logic and facts that they want to put out themselves. That's fine. This stream is not to deny or confirm any veracity of human rights abuses happening there. We just looked at certain reportings. You guys can make up your own minds after we went down this rabbit hole. I'm going to be putting down all the resources that we've gone through today, plus the 160-page report that we didn't get to go through today. Unless you guys want to extend the stream 2 more hours so we could read a 160-page report. I don't think Arknights players would like to do that. So, if there's no one else that wants to have a conversation about what we've just discussed today, I'm going to peace out. Thank everyone that stopped by, chilled out in chat, and joined us for this little iceberg digging of everything that surrounded Elysium's discontinuation as a voice actor for Arknights. Tomorrow, we are going back to fun! Oh joy! Tomorrow we're back to reading... Tomorrow we're going back to reading the story. Tomorrow we're going back to reading Delicious on Terra. We're actually going to start reading Delicious on Terra. What you said above, someone who knows the info of those places in a logical way can swipe aside the paper since it does not explain how the stuff exactly operates. It explained exactly how it operates. What are you talking about, creature? We read through it. It went detail by detail how the place operated, how the entire schedule of the internment people. There were actual Chinese officials were quoted within the report, which is just a headliner report of the 160-page document. The person using only logical would be bad would be a bad person. Okay, creature. Okay. Again, we're on the same side, creature. I'm sorry if I seem to be antagonistic towards you. I'm sorry if I don't. I'm sorry if I seem antagonistic towards you. It's my inner debate lord coming out. I'm sorry. My apologies. Sorry if you don't make sense. Your explaining is not that great. It's okay, creature. It's fine. I will leave all the resources down below. You guys want to go through it yourself. Once again, my name is Nez and thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you friendos next time. Tomorrow, we're gonna read through Delicious on Terra. Bye-bye, friendos.